Thanks. Great to be here. My name is Tyler Basmati. I'm co-founder and CEO of Clever, and just excited to share with you all a little bit of what we've been up to in the last year. And actually, before we go on, I'd love to get a sense in the room. How many folks are with applications, if you wouldn't mind putting your hand in the air? How many folks with districts? How many folks are at the wrong conference? Investors? Okay, quite a few. Great. Well, thank you so much for coming. You know, when it comes to conferences like these, it strikes me that we often talk about this vision of personalized learning, which sounds really great. You know, students sitting together, smiling, laughing, all diligently working at their own pace, getting just the right piece of instruction at just the right time. You know, it probably looks something like this in all of our minds. And this is something that, has been a theme throughout the whole conference. And the problem I have with this is if you've stepped into a classroom recently, you know it looks nothing like this. And schools really struggle to use technology and really struggle to get the most out of it and maximize the impact for their students. To give you an example of this that's near and dear to our heart, one of the things that schools really struggle with is just the act of getting kids to log in. And it doesn't matter how great a piece of software is or how great a piece of curriculum is if the student can't log into it. And so it's easy to talk in the abstract of, okay, well, yeah, logins are hard. They're hard for me, probably hard for you. But if you haven't been in a classroom lately, you might underestimate just how painful this problem is for schools everywhere. And so to really drive this point home, we thought it might be fun and interesting to actually record a real-life kindergartner trying to log in to a piece of software to level set what the experience is in the average school today. So we have a kindergartner, and we just asked her to log in as she normally would.
Oh. Is there a IOU yet?
I'm not going to make you keep watching this, but she was just about halfway through the username portion of her login. And the problem is there's so much great stuff at conferences like these, and that's the experience in the classroom today, times 30 that a teacher deals with when they try and actually use any of that software. And so time is wasted. And it's not just a little bit of time. We did a study on teachers and learned that of an average 50-minute period in the computer lab, the average teacher in America spends 25% of that class period running around helping their students log in and troubleshooting logins. That is just shocking. And that's why this was one of the problems that I got really excited about 6 years ago, and what led me to found Clever was this problem of there has to be a better way. If we are going to move into the future and make personalized reality a reality, personalized learning a reality, that cannot be the experience that students have in classrooms every day. And so several years ago, we released a product, Clever Single Sign-On. Why can't a student log into one thing, one time, and then be able to access every single resource that their school provides? So we created this solution, Clever Single Sign-On. We released it about 4 years ago. And what's been so exciting as a founder, what you really hope, is that when you build something, people will use it, that it will solve a real problem. And so last year at this conference, I was really excited that I was able to give an update that 10% of all students in the country had logged in to Clever Single Sign-On by this time last year. So 10%. So this is, I think it speaks to what a massive problem this is. That in our space where normally good ideas can take a while to percolate across districts. A year ago, we were so proud that 10% of all students in the country had logged into Clever Single Sign-On that year. Well, here I am a year later, and I'm really proud to share that this year, it's now 20% of all students in the US are logging into Clever Single Sign-On and have logged in this year. So this speaks to just what an enormous challenge this is, and we're really proud that our solution has been able to play some small part in helping students have a better experience using software, achieving personalized learning, and realizing these visions that we talked about at the beginning. To give you an idea of how quickly Clever has spread and grown, of the top 100 school districts in the country, 90 of the top 100 use Clever. We are very fortunate to have hundreds and hundreds leading edtech companies who partner with us. Leading companies like Scholastic and Dreambox and Achieve 3000 and NWA and STMath. Companies who are part of this experience and who have integrated with Clever so their products can be so easy for school districts to use. Now, a lot of times people ask me, okay, there's this problem. Everyone agrees maybe logins are a problem. But why has Clever's solution spread so quickly? Why has this particular thing resonated with the market in the way that it has? And I wanted to share three things that seem to, maybe two less intuitive and one more intuitive thing that we've done that have enabled this, that I believe enabled a lot of this growth. The first is an idea that I will be the first to admit, when I first heard it, I thought it was kooky. Clever badges. The thinking was, hey, it's great, Clever, that you've got it so students only need to log in one time and they can access all their applications. But my co-founder came to me and said, what if they didn't have to log in at all? And that was an idea. What if they never had to type a username and password, ever? And so we came up with this idea of Clever badges. Schools get these laminated badges with a QR code on them. They can flash it in front of a computer. We've got deep integrations with Chromebooks and devices like that. And so literally the experience is they take their badge, they flash it, they're logged in seconds. We got to announce that product on stage here at ASU 2 years ago, exactly to the day. 2 years later, very excited to share, we've had 31 million logins of kids holding up these laminated badges. My co-founder was right, and I was wrong. Schools really love Clever badges, and it's been something that's just built a lot of love with the teachers we serve, and especially, this is for the younger ages where this is really a good fit, but we've been really proud and blown away by the adoption of badges. Second thing, data security. A lot of people say data security, what does that have to do with single sign-on? Clever is one of the first companies to combine these concepts because the way that if you own an application or you run an application, for software to work in schools, it's not just enough for the student to log in. There's data being passed back and forth between the school district and the application, that what classes the students are in and things like that, so which teachers can access which students. And it turns out that this is really overwhelming for school districts. Every single provider needs this done in a slightly different way. Different students need to see different applications. Different information is appropriate for different applications, and you want to minimize the amount that you're sharing. And before Clever, there wasn't a really simple, easy, transparent, and secure way for school districts to do this. A lot of this was being done with scripts and things that schools were having to write by hand. So part of the Clever solution and part of the reason it's grown so quickly is our focus on data security and data privacy and giving districts these tools to control with very, very fine granularity all the data sharing that's happening and have total transparency and the ability to turn it on or off at a moment's notice. The third thing, the one that's maybe a little more intuitive, is the thing that districts tell us they really love about single sign-on is analytics. And that's giving them for the first time the ability to see which of our schools are using software, how's it going, who should we be celebrating, where should we be helping and intervening. So with Clever, for the first time, they get really rich analytics across schools, across classrooms, across students, at every level in the district to see this visibility, whereas before it was a complete black box. So that's Clever Single Sign-On. That's what we've been working on. We're really proud that this has been able to meet such a need for schools, and we're excited to keep growing this and hopefully serving more schools in the years to come. So, okay, we solved the access challenge, or we're working on it, these challenges of access and data security. And so we had a conversation as a company, and we said, are we done? Once we solve single sign-on, once these access challenges are easier, will we be living in this nirvana that we all want to live in, where students are having these wonderful educational experiences? And we asked school districts this question. And they said, no. There are other huge challenges that get in the way of us having the outcomes we want to see when we use educational technology. And one of the biggest ones is, even once you make it easy for people to log into the software, school districts still really struggle to roll out software in a consistent and high-fidelity way across the district. And we see this, there's so many different data sources on this, and a lot of people are talking about this problem. You have 70% of software licenses never activated, or you have studies where 90% of students don't meet the usage goals for the software that's being studied. This is a massive problem, and just solving the single sign-on is not enough. It became very clear to us. And so we've put our heads together around this problem of, okay, after students can log into things easily, how can we help districts? How can we support them in rolling out software in a more consistent way and in a way that allows them to achieve their fidelity goals? And so we've just released a brand new product to solve this challenge, and we call it Clever Goals. And our purpose with Clever Goals is to help districts turn software purchases into student achievement, and I'll show you how we do that. This is regular Clever single sign-on. Student logs in, they see a bunch of links. And don't get me wrong, we're very proud of these links. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone into making this experience simple and possible for the students. But at the end of the day, it's just a launch pad into things. With Clever Goals, we said, what if a teacher could set actual goals for the usage of the different ed tech products and direct students to where they should be spending their time and learning? And so that's what Clever Goals is. Teachers get to set weekly goals for the usage of each individual product. They can set different goals for different products, because obviously all products are different. But then when students log into Clever, they can actually see their progress towards those goals in real time. And that's what Clever Goals is. Our goal is to help teachers first just understand what's going on in their classroom. It's to motivate the students. As students achieve their goals, they collect stars. These stars, they can see how many stars they've collected versus the classroom next to them versus the classroom across the district. There's a big motivational aspect around achieving your weekly goals and building these habits around high-fidelity usage. And our ultimate goal is to help schools maximize their ed tech usage and deliver great results. The results that the vendors want to see, that the districts want to see, we want to help make that happen. We've rolled this out in a bunch of districts so far. Seattle, Oakland, Pinellas, Metro Nashville. Lindsay Unified I put up here because they happen to be at this conference today. But there's a lot of really amazing feedback that's coming back from districts who are using Clever Goals. They're saying it's changing the conversation around ed tech, whereas before it was just, I log in and it's kind of the blind leading the blind. Now they're seeing students take control. All of a sudden, students have transparency into the expectations that the districts have of them. You got to use this product for 30 minutes a week if you want to get the benefit. We want to see you accomplish 3 lessons this week if you want to see the benefit. And teachers, for the first time, have a view, a red, yellow, green stoplight view across their entire class, across all the products they're using, so they can see who they should be celebrating and who they should be supporting. But does it work? So we've had this in the market for about a year now. Okay, great. So you've changed the experience. Like, what happened? We have districts who have rolled this out, they have a lot of schools in the district. They roll out Clever in some of the schools, but not all of the schools. So we have a really interesting baseline to compare to. And what's amazing is just by adding this transparency and this motivational nudge, we've seen districts where the schools who are using Clever Goals have 24% improved utilization of their EdTech purchases compared to those who don't over the baseline. So we are really proud of this result. We are really proud of the impact that Clever Goals is having in helping both schools and vendors get to the outcome that they want to see, that they both want to see. And that's what Clever Goals is all about. So that's Clever Goals. And this is a screenshot of just a couple seconds of activity on Clever on any given day. Each different colored bubble is a different company, across the country in different schools. And I put this up there, when I see this, I put this up there to close because I want to close on a note of gratitude. Clever would not be possible without all of the vendors who have come together to make this experience possible for schools. And Clever would not be possible without all the districts who have adopted Clever and pushed us, to build things that meet their needs. So we're really proud of the ecosystem that we're building. We're really proud of, all of the partnerships and the ways we've been able to nudge EdTech towards better outcome for students. And that's what we're going to continue to do in the year ahead. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Think we have time for a few questions? One question. Yes?
What's your next product?
It's a good question. Right now, we're really excited about Clever Goals. We released that about a month or two ago, officially live out in the public. And we're really our goal is to make Clever Goals as ubiquitous as Clever Single Sign-On is today. We think if we can do that, we will really make a big impact on schools' ability to use educational software effectively. Maybe once we get there, there will be new challenges that are uncovered. But right now, our big focus is bringing this experience to as many schools as we can. Yes? Yeah. Are you starting an EdTech company?
I am.
Okay, yeah. The question was, how do you get districts engaged early on? Yeah, and so we had a chicken or egg challenge to solve because Clever is not very useful if you don't have applications. It's not very useful to schools if you don't have applications, and it's not very useful to applications if you don't have schools. And the only thing we found that worked was just an incredible amount of hustle. And it was finding the applications who had the most pain and were willing to kind of take a bet on the vision that we had. And same for schools, finding the schools who had the most pain and were willing to take a bet on the vision that we had. And to find those districts and those applications, we had to talk to many, many hundreds who were maybe later adopters or mid-stage adopters. But to find the really early adopters, we had to talk to hundreds of districts and hundreds of applications just to even get that flywheel spinning ever so slightly. So that's the best recommendation I can give. All right, I'm getting flagged down, but happy to take more questions outside. Thank you again, everyone.